Welcome to our second session watching Avatar. We don't still have a show name. I'll just think of something. Welcome to David and let's do On the Couch with David and Travis.
We're not even sitting on a couch.
It's like Siskel.
It's like a metaphorical couch.
Yeah, the couch is in your mind.
Or symbolic, or analogous, whatever.
There's layers. Just like, I think in today's episode, The King of Omashu, I think there's a few layers going on. I really like this one.
I was indifferent to it. It was kind of like this is like... It felt very similar to last week's in terms of just like, this is a narrative that doesn't have to be in the TV show. Like, nothing about it I felt was necessary to the show.
My first reaction is how it sort of subverts last week's, because on a surface level, this does kind of seem like a filler episode. And I think in a lesser show, it would be. But I think it demonstrates a few very important things to the ongoing narrative.
Okay.
First of all, there are elements, people, things of this world that Aang can recognize from his past. It's not just all completely foreign to him.
Okay, that's true.
Next of all, it's kind of interesting, I think, because the whole concept of the episode is thinking about things differently in a creative way, per se. And I think the way this episode sort of demonstrates it, the twist is not a big twist. The first time I watched it, I got it. David got it.
I called it right away.
But I think for a younger audience, this is something they might not see right away, and I think that's interesting. But I think an important thing is demonstrating that it's not straightforward the series is, how Aang is going to have to think differently, think creatively, and not exactly face problems head-on throughout. So I think that's at least an important, I guess, sort of message for kids or for other people watching the show, but also sort of something now that the characters know this, it's something they're going to consider going forward.
Okay.
Like, I think this is a tangible, and I know, since I've seen the show, this is a tangible thing. We need to get to a situation, think, okay, this is what we could do, or perhaps this is what a lesser show might do, but what would Boomy have done? What's the more subversive answer to this problem?
I feel like it might have felt a little more... I don't want to say like meaningful, but I feel like maybe if we had known Boomy previously or something, I just felt like it was very like self-contained.
Yes, that's
which
true.
For an episode, which like for a show like Avatar, I don't mind some shows being self-contained in their episodes. I think comedies obviously can do it, but I feel like for a saga or an epic that they're trying to tell with Avatar, I feel like having a self-contained episode in like where the characters only appear in that one episode can be a little bit detrimental to the series as a whole.
And see, this is what's nice about having your perspective versus mine, is I know that elements of both the previous week's episode and this week's episode are things that come back multiple times. Mm-hmm. So, from a first viewer's perspective, it is sort of self-contained, but it's not the case.
I think if you're watching this as a kid, you would think it's a fun episode.
Yeah.
I think it's a fun and light and kind of like a not serious episode at all.
It's very funny. There's a lot of action.
Yeah, I particularly like the action sequences, especially the last one where he was fighting with Boomy.
Yeah.
It was really well done. There were a couple moments where I'm like, oh, that's something creative they did with the earth bending. Like, there was one time where he had like this earth platform that like, and then it rose out of the ground and there were like a bunch of rocks underneath it, and then he leaned back and the earth platform like shot all the other rocks like out, which I thought was really cool, and I totally would not have thought of that.
And he sort of turned the ground into sand.
Yeah.
Like he's saying, he sort of sunk into the earth and traveled with it. We haven't really seen that much earth bending, so it was cool to sort of see these different applications.
Yeah.
And also sort of like their non-combat applications, like in the city, it's how they move, post, and other transportation things. They open doors and close.
Exactly. I thought that was cool, how like it would make sense that in a city like that, everything would be
based around,
it would be like walls. Mm-hmm. But then that also begs the question: is it only used as like the main defense of the city? Because what if somebody else who could earthbend wanted to leave the city?
Well, I think there's a lot of people in the city that don't earthbend. The guards sort of like... it was implied that the guards stood there and did it. Because I think it's something like maybe 20 to 40% of them could probably earthbend.
Yeah. But I think it makes sense for that section.
And then I just have some small things I know. Something I noticed in the beginning is, I guess since it's still kind of early and it's a lower budget show, I just noticed how bad the lip syncing is.
Yeah. And some of the places it was especially in the beginning.
That
felt like
first
more
scenes
so in the
where I wrote it
beginning.
down. I don't know if
I
that
don't know
was
why.
animated earlier, but it seems like it's that very common anime-esque thing where characters have like 2 or 3
They
mouth
just, like,
things, and it just sort of does that. And at first I'm like, oh, it's anime, different language, but no, this was done in English, so there's no reason.
Yeah.
There's no reason for that to be there.
Yeah, I felt like I don't know if it's just coming back to it for the second time,
Mm-hmm.
like the second session, and they haven't watched it for like a week and a half. I felt like the quality wasn't as high in the beginning as it was in like either previous episodes or part of this episode too. Like I felt like the quality of the drawings themselves were a little
Yeah,
different.
animation, but I think writing-wise, this is a really tight episode because I think, again, going back, like if this was a lesser show, this could have been 3 episodes or 4. This could have been an arc where we meet the king, we have the challenges. But instead, here's the city, here's what the city is about, here's the king, here's the challenges, here's the twist, here's the solution, we're gone. All in 21 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I think that's a testament to how detailed and very tight the writing is.
See, I felt like not necessarily this thing itself could have been expanded, but I like the idea of having that overarching narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I think it's especially because the last 2 episodes have been self-contained episodes, that it's a little, I don't want to say jarring, but like it just seems like the first 3 were all about this overarching theme, and then we have 2 episodes right in a row where it's like self-contained
we
plot,
go to a
self-contained
place,
plot.
we meet some people, something happens, we
Yeah.
leave. And that part of that is because the first 3, I think, were the pilot. They were meant to be as like 3 parts.
And I think I liked that Zuko was not like the main villain of this episode.
He wasn't in it at all.
He
I
wasn't
just
in it
realized
at all. But I also like being able to see his journey as well.
In fact, that's kind of disappointing now that I think about it, because I like to think that we sort of have... It doesn't have to be a literal time balance, but I like to think that there's equal focus on both Aang and Zuko in terms of what's going on in their world. So, yeah, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. I think it was fine without him, but I also like the idea of at least coming back to him. Like on the 3rd episode where he fought with... I forgot his name.
Uncle...
Commander
Jimmy.
Zhao. Not Commander Zhao, but Zhao, I think was his name. Like, that was a really interesting, like, B-plot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it didn't even feel like a B-plot. Because it was so interesting. Yeah. But, I don't know. I'm interested to see what comes next. I hope it's something a little more connected to everything else. It's not bad by any means. Not bad at all. But, it just wasn't what I was hoping for. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Okay, so up next we have an ominous title. This is simply called Imprisoned. So we'll see what that's about.